Okay, good evening, everybody. I can't believe it's the end of October. Kind of freaking out. I'm going to get right to it because I have a few people that I want to share with you tonight. Some amazing takeaways from the weekend in Global. I know everyone on here was not a part of Global, and that is okay. We just really want you to put your focus now into your business so that you can get to Charleston. There is a really beautiful shift taking place with this hair care launch, and it really is just electric, and I don't want anybody to be left out on this. So I just have a few things I want to go over quick, and then we will get to our first guest. The hair care. So the hair care launch is set to happen in December. Sean Poe is double checking on that because we outdid ourselves. We did more than corporate expected with the launch, with the pre-launch, by selling out. So the manufacturers now have to get their button gear, but also maintain very high quality for the product that they want to give to people. So it is really important as we look ahead, less than 2 months from now, when the actual launch takes place, that you waste no time in setting the stage for your business and making sure that the pre-launches that you did and the pre-orders you got, take a look at how much volume came from that, and then make sure that you are going through your back office, through your customers. Make sure that your goal is to ensure that everyone that you've ever touched upon knows that the hair care is out there, so that when that launch happens, and there will only be so many units. When we have the actual launch, it doesn't mean there's going to be an unlimited supply again. There will only be so many units available again when the launch happens. So you want to make sure that you and your prospects and your team and your customers have access to that as soon as possible. Now, when this occurs, Ryan Goodwin is going to send a text through the app. He has access to 190,000 names in the LifeVantage database. And these are names that have previously tried or subscribed to TrueScience. These 190,000 people will get a special invitation text to open a link that will take them to the hair care that they can then order. And if they are in your database, it will be linked to you. Now, here are the statistics with that. 190,000 texts immediately sent. So 190,000 people get a notification. They expect that 90% of those texts will be open. From those that are opened, they expect that 50% will read the text and click on the link that is in the text. From there, they expect a 10% conversion rate. So when you break that down, that means 8,500 kits could be sold through that database like that once the text is sent. If 8,500 kits are sold through a text that's sent by the company, that only leaves so many left for the rest of us to order from. Sean talked again about 13,000 units. So if there's only 13,000 and 8,500 are sold through this mass texting system, that doesn't leave a lot left. So again, it's you really setting the stage and doing the background work here. So you want to have a good strategy for this next launch. Michelle also talked about taking before and afters. So when I would suggest, now that you're home, use your old shampoo. And I got to tell you, it was so funny today. So we had the mastermind Zoom and Mark Johnson, he said, he's like, I am not a skincare guy. I am not a hair care guy. And he goes, I became a skincare guy because of TrueScience. And he's like, this hair care stuff, he's like, I flip and love it. And he goes, I went home to Arizona after Global, and I go upstairs to shower when I got home, but my hair care was downstairs, and I was too lazy to go downstairs and get my hair care. So I had to use my old stuff. And he goes, I've been using my old stuff for 15 years. It's like a tea tree oil. Good for you. And he's like, I used it and I shampooed my head. And he's like, I hated it. He's like, I hated everything about it. He's like, I love this hair care. So please make sure that you have someone use your old system and then let it air dry or blow dry it. And then, comb it 10 times and have someone take a picture. And then the next day, use the other system and follow those same steps and take your after picture. I know we've all seen a difference. I saw a difference in a day. So take your own before and afters, and anyone that is sharing stories with you, any testimonies that you have, make sure that you save those, because those are gold that we can have something like that. We don't always have that with Protandim, but for somebody to see something in a day, really make sure that you log those and hold on to those. Also, if you go onto the app, and you're really going to want to be using the app, you guys, you really want to make sure that you start training and teaching yourself how to utilize that, because the company is going to be rewarding people for doing that. So if you go on that, you go to media, and then you go to the news section. I posted this on Team Act. You will find the hair care study, and you will find the video on the hair care. And those are things that you can message to people right from the app, just like that. It'll take you seconds. At Global, Sean and Michelle Poe had a luncheon. This is the second time they've done it. They also did in Anaheim, where we ordered pizza and they had special speakers come in and people loved it. That will happen again in Charleston. It was really, really special. They had new people up on stage, the stories that were heard, the tears that were shed, the way that you can connect with other people. They're doing that again in Charleston. The pajama party, I've never danced so much in my entire life, and my knees were feeling it today. That was the most fun. Like, I danced for 3 hours straight, and the minute I stopped, I couldn't get my feet moving again. like my body locked up on me. That was so much fun. So I know that those things will continue, because Carrie and Stu got so much amazing feedback on the pajama party. And then closing out this month, you want to close out this month very, very strong. So make sure you know that you've got the correct PV in place to get paid properly. Make sure if you're at that point where that generational matching check, or you qualify for that, make sure you have 100 PV in new volume. This doesn't qualify for everybody, but that generational matching check, as you go up the ranks, makes a huge difference. So you must have $100 in new product volume that comes in to get that. And that can be different orders, as long as it adds up to $100. It doesn't have to be just from one order, just so you know. And then looking into the holidays, that's kind of something we've been talking about too, like incentives that we can have, promotions that we can have for people on your team if they bring in a new distributor, or if they bring in a platinum pack, getting people offering a hair care system if they bring in a platinum pack. Hair care systems, if you did not get a lot of them, I want you to know that the Poes have extra suitcases of them. So our team will have access to those if we need them, and if you have someone that wants to start it. Because you want people on it as soon as possible. Even if you can't readily get it, the Poes will have it for you. Another great thing, getting an extra hair care system, and then like going to Target or Walmart and getting those little clear sample bottles and filling those with the hair care system. If you're having a meeting, if you go to a one-on-one, whatever it may be, even if you're out and about, just always having a little set with you. You could put it in a little baggie. I think that would be gold, because this is something that people will feel and they will see a difference very soon. So really think about investing in those bottles to have samples with you. And then last thing is the Pacesetter program. I want to make sure everyone knows the Pacesetter program is continuing, and that is for new distributors, and they're in their first 90 days. If they hit the ranks of Pro 2 and Pro 3, getting them those extra incentives and that extra money in their pocket. And then the Pro 5 hustle, I know a lot of you on this page are going to go after that, and that is so exciting. It's a lot of money. So you can get $500 when you hit it the first month, $750 when you hit the second month, and $1,000 when you hit it the third month. And you'll qualify for Pro 5 Summit. Yep, everybody's doing the happy dance. I feel you. Okay, so that's all I had. So we're going to start with Brian Scott. People were raving about the Tyler Daniels breakout session. He talked about what it means to have a side hustle, and he compared it with a lot of the side hustles that are happening today. And I just really want to equip you with what he spoke about, because I think this is great knowledge that we should have in our tool belt when we're talking to people. Because I think when people think about a side hustle, they're thinking about Uber and Lyft. They're not thinking about network marketing. And I want all of us to make sure that we can properly educate people on the differences and how ours is so much better. So Brian, I'm unmuting you. Take it away, buddy. You unmute yourself. I can't do it.
Yes, I'm doing that.
Gotcha.
Wow. Everybody loved that. Tyler Daniels, that kind of puts me on the spot. But I'm just going to kind of go through some of the notes that I had real quick. I totally agree with you. Like when I thought about side hustle, nobody I know ever thinks about network marketing as a side hustle. So he went to this website. How do I share my screen again? Oh, there it is.
Okay.
Let me know if you can see that. Can you see this?
Nope.
What?
There we go.
You can see that?
Gotcha.
Do I need to enlarge it?
Nope, it's full screen.
Okay, cool. So this website is collegeinvestors.com, and it's the top 50 side hustles. And they start off from 1 through 10. I'll go down to 1. Blogging being in there, and it's a short, quick read. You take a look at it, it's $1,000 per month, right? See that? Online sales. Anybody ever sell anything on Amazon? That was actually a good one because I actually know quite a few people that sell things on there. The average income there was $300 a month. Really? Oh, the crafts. I mean, that's super funny to me because what college kids has time to do crafts, especially on a weekend after they've been drinking all night? Online coaching. I mean, $100 a month. That's probably a really good value for coaching. Ebook. So yeah, just go to this website and start looking through it and scrolling through it. Some of these ones are like proofreading. I mean, I can barely even read. I'm not going to do that. And what I found very interesting is you go all the way down to 17 to find Uber and Lyft. I thought that would have been my first, thing somebody would do. But if you go down here, yeah, income varies by market and driver. They can't even put a number in there. But they're willing to sign you up right away to do it, right? What else I got? And maybe, I don't know, maybe they don't do that because most college kids don't even have cars. And so what I found the most important for me, or what hit me the most, is this is literally the competition we have. I didn't think about it in that way, and Tyler Daniels put it in such a great way. Today alone, I already talked to Eric and a couple other people, college kids, and I shared some of this stuff with them. And they're super excited about it. And then they're going to go tell their friends because they actually know a lot of other college kids that are either blogging or selling something online. Some of them are even selling stuff on eBay. And I actually learned in this event that 57 or 58% of all eBay sales have plummeted. So even eBay is going out of business. And it was just really super eye-opening because this is literally the competition that we have out there. I mean, if you compare LifeVantage to this, it's kind of like, I don't know, the Lakers playing against the AAU team around here. We literally have no competition. And then he also was pointing out, this is really cool. So if you, when you're scrolling through here and you're looking at the time frame of how long it usually takes them to get $1,000 or $500 a month. I mean, there's one in there that's a 5,000 a month. That's pretty good. But then you compare it, you know, obviously it's not residual or royalty income. I mean, they have to do all that work, maybe not even get to that rank, put an entire year in and not get residual. That sucks. So actually, let's see if I can find it. How do I? This slapped me in the face. So if everybody could unmute themselves, they can't. But did you guys even know that we had a biohacking part to our website? Biohacking side hustle to our website? And when he asked everybody who knew about the side hustle, everybody raised their hand that they didn't even know that we had this on our website. So right here, opportunity, click on opportunity. Boom. There it is. This was really cool because you take a look at Pro One is, you know, $79 a month, right? How easy is that for college kids to get to that? So that's only $1,000 in organizational volume. That kind of hit me pretty hard because there's so many kids out there that are looking for an extra $100 or $200 a month, and they'll get paid the rest of their life. And then he went down and broke it down to like, let me go back one. You scroll down. I could have just went down. I think is that one, earnings in, yep, that's it. And so you start looking at our comp plan as compared to what the website is, it's pretty good. And then you look at the time frame, and so he, I'll just go over a couple of them real quick so that way I'm not taking up a bunch of your time. A lot of this stuff you guys can kind of do on your own, but Pro 4 in our company to get to that rank of an extra $1,100, $1,000 to $1,200 a month, averages out to 13.8 months. That's the average in our company. Takes about roughly a year, and you're going to get paid residually royalties for the rest of your life, right? I mean, when you went back to the other one, you know, blogging took a year, and you got to be really good at writing. I can't do that. And then, oh, that was really cool too, because one of the things, especially for those who were at the lunch with Taylor Worry, that was a realization, especially for where he comes from, his knowledge, his background, why would he come to this company? But what Tyler Daniels is saying is that time frame of a year or 2 years is going to get shorter and shorter and shorter for people to achieve, because the market's going to be flooded. Everybody's going to know what biohacking is, or oxidative stress. And more people are looking for side hustles because of Amazon. And there's a long, lengthy thing in that, but that was really good. And so to hit Pro 5 on an average is 18.8 months. And now he went really good into that as far as, because that's 30,000 a year. That's half. Pro 5 is about half of the average income. That's really utilizing every avenue you have to maximize your financial freedom. And most kids, you know, once they start making about $1,000 a month, they're just going to want to go for Pro 5, Pro 6, Pro 7. And Pro 6 on the average for our company is 24.7 months, which is about $70,000 a year. And that was a really good point too, because how many college kids are out there going to college for 4 years, ending up in a bunch of college debt? And yeah, that was good. I think I can go on, but you know, for college kids to even get any more than that after 4 years, they're going to have to specialize and go back to school for another 3 to 4 years to get anything over that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. There's a bunch of other things that I could go into, but I don't want to ramble through my notes. Those were just the things that meant the most to me. And taking this side hustle seriously in your conversations with people that are looking for a side hustle. And so many college kids are looking for that side hustle.
Thank you, Brian. I love this information because I think we forget that, don't we, guys? We forget, we label ourselves with a rank, and we forget what that rank really adds up to. So when we're talking about an extra $12,000, $15,000, up to $70,000 a year extra or income that you can make, that is significant. And I think we need to have that mindset when we're talking to people. Like, this is an extra full-time income that you are bringing to your home on a yearly basis that is not just a one-time gig. Like, this is a continual residual income check that you can bring in. I also think that that quick link at the bottom of the website and that little section to just crop that and like take some of the posts from that college site that show side hustles and the average income, and then crop our little section and say what we are providing to people, that's a good post if you ask me. So I'm just saying, really good information. Thank you for equipping us with that, Brian. I love that, you guys. I hope everyone wrote that down. If you did not, I will post a recording of this, but knowing the average time for the ranks and then what that equates to per year that people can bring in. I just think that is language that will affect people in a different way versus here's the ranks in our company and here's the average income. I just think brains process those two things differently. And I think we need to come at them with, here's the average amount of time to make this amount per year. I think that will make much more sense to people and be much more attractive to them. Okay, the other big thanks, we talked about some business. Now we're going to talk about some science. So we had a few people on this Zoom. I asked a couple that would share their takeaways. So Marcy was in the doctor's meeting. Then I'm also going to have Dr. Mike Powell round it out and give us his takeaway as well. And I know Dr. Mike was instrumental at dumbing it down essentially for the compliance men and for the people in the room. So Marcy, first of all, you were able to be a part of the doctor's meeting. I unmuted you. And tell me what that did for you, and tell me like one of your big takeaways from that meeting that we should know about.
Well, hello everyone. I recognize everyone's faces now because I have names and faces. Yay! One of the big things was when Dr. Fifi was talking about the hair serum. And actually the ingredient in general in the hair products, the hair genial specifically, that promotes the hair growth and density. And she disclosed, she said she shouldn't have, but she did, because she does that, that hair genial works a lot like Rogaine, to give people kind of an idea. And then I went on a website, I think it was Dr. Ted Hudspeth sent over a link where we could research that. And the company that makes hair genial, and on the bottle, I believe it's not called hair genial, it's called Pichia minuta, whatever. It's from the azalea plant. And it actually does, it boosts hair regrowth. The hair is thicker, more resistant, and the scalp is more densely covered. It's recommended, hair genial is recommended in all anti-loss and regrowth hair products. So I thought that was pretty cool to see. I had another, and it's from a yeast extract, which she mentioned that in the product meeting as well, if some of you were in on the hair product meeting. And let's see, that the hair care system is safe in pregnancy, it's safe for children, it's safe for everybody. And obviously non-GMO in all products, of course. She also touched on the NERF 1 study will be complete in about a year, I believe she said. So we will have the study actually complete on NERF 1 that we can share with people as well. I'll let Mike talk on the compliance stuff, because that actually, for an hour-and-a-half meeting, that was most of the meeting. And when I had mentioned that to Sean Poe, he seemed frustrated by that because he wasn't supposed to talk about compliance in the first place, Eric in compliance. So Sean shed a little bit of light on to kind of calm everyone down, because there was a lot of frustration by the end of the meeting. But Mike did a really good job at kind of summing up what we can say in a really nice way. So.
Thanks, Marcy. I appreciate you sharing.
Sure.
And I'm so proud. It was so great to have you there. So I'm proud of you for going. Thank you.
Oh, I loved it. It was awesome.
Yay. I just want to say real quick too, and I'll post this on Team Act, but there is a Hair Janelle site, a link that we can use. So while we can't make the claims that it promotes is not hormone-based like Rogaine. Thank you, Diana. So Diana just said Hair Janelle is not hormone-based like Rogaine, which is huge. So while we can't say that it promotes hair growth, we can let them know that that is an ingredient in the product, and then give them a link to that site. And then on that site, they can find the benefits all on their own without us even having to say them. So now we're going to go over to Oregon, and we're going to talk to Dr. Mike Powell, who is a chiropractor over there. Sheila, if you guys could unmute yourself, I can't get you. Okay. And
Hi,
Mike, I know this was your first event. So I would first of all just love to know what it did for you. And then we can get into the meeting and tell us what we can and can't say and how that went.
Sure thing. I'd be more than happy to. It was my first event, my first doctor's meeting. I described it to Sheila like drinking out of a fire hose. I mean, it was so much information, so fast. And I really enjoyed this morning, Sheila and I talked for a little bit about the fact that over the last 25 years, I've treated many people from all walks of life. And some of these people who are CEOs, CFOs, presidents, captains of industries. And I've always been impressed by the fact that people who climb to the top of these corporate ladders are oftentimes some of the most unhappy people I know. I mean, they've traded everything for their positions, and then they have nothing. And it's very sad. It breaks my heart when people finally achieve their goals in life and lose everything because of it. And they'll walk in and say, and the only family I talk to are the people with their hands out wanting something from me. And it just breaks my heart. And to walk into a place where I watch people who are the leaders in your industry, who are approachable and wonderful and happy and have reached their goals by helping other people and reached their goals by helping you run your business, it creates just this amazing synergistic feeling in that room. I felt no snobbery from anyone. I never felt like anyone felt they were better than anyone else. It was an absolutely amazing and remarkable way. What an amazing business model we have. This idea that for me to succeed, I need to help you succeed. That happens nowhere else, and it's amazing. So that was my big takeaway from that. The doctor's meeting, like she said, was, would you say 10% medicine and 90% compliance? Does that sound right? Eric stood up and they said, we're just going to do a quick shout out for Eric. And this poor man, I felt so sorry for him, was being attacked by every direction. Dr. Fifi did touch on the fact, and I'll go back just a little bit, maltodextrin is one of the things that people are having issues with, especially people who are on a ketogenic diet and they're very much against any form of carbohydrates. They're saying, well, your product has maltodextrin in it, and so I really don't want to take it. And she brought up the point that if you're eating any form of tomato or potatoes or rice or bread in any form, once that hits your mouth, you have an enzyme in your mouth called salivary amylase. and the salivary amylase converts any starches directly into maltodextrin. So she said, if you're absolutely no keto or absolutely no carbohydrates, then yes, there might be a problem. But the tiny little amount that you're getting when you're taking NRF1, NRF2 Protandems is just extraordinarily minute. So place that aside and say, you know what, if you ate a potato in the last 6 weeks, you probably had more maltodextrin than you're going to get in a month of what we're doing. So don't worry too much about that. The compliance I found really enlightening. Part of the things that I found interesting is that any time that the FTC or the FDA surfs the web, they look for buzzwords. And some of the buzzwords were really, really surprising to me. They range from things like, you'll notice that most of the people this weekend talked about leveraging their income or leveraged income, because apparently one of the new buzzwords is this word when we say, well, we have financial freedom or we have residual income. It denotes that you do something once and then you get paid for the rest of your life, which is not all that accurate. And the FTC is kind of clamping down on that. And he said, and every time I see somebody on there saying residual income, guess who gets a call kind of thing. And so we have to be careful about saying residual rather than leverage. Leverage seems to mean I spend a little bit of time and I'm able to leverage my time for continuing income. And he said, much better. He said, some of those YouTube videos, so we all know and love, let's face it, a lot of people come into this business because they YouTube it and they go, wow. Or we all say, when people ask, hey, does this help? And you name it, we say, well, look it up on YouTube. And there's 101 people out there that say, yes, this helped my cancer, this helped my MS, this helped my Parkinson's. The problem is anytime we attach a diagnosis to this, we've just now made a claim. And no amount of disclaimer before or after that claim makes that claim okay. We can't say this does not prevent, ameliorate, cure diseases, and then expect the rest of it not to be considered. So we have to be very, very careful about using diagnostic terms. And one of the beauties is one of the nurses stood up and said, nurses are way better at this than you guys, because physicians have a hard time not speaking in diagnostic terms. Nurses have been trained. These are the things you can't say. So I vote that the nurses take care of this because they're going to be awesome at fixing these problems. We discussed the fact that you can't say, I have a friend that had MS and was in bed and took Protandim and now is out of bed and moving. That would be an inappropriate use. That seems to indicate that we are treating a disease. But we can, however, say, I have a friend that was in bed for 6 months, couldn't get out of bed. We put her on the Protandim and now she has a full life. Now she's able to get out of bed. Now she's able to move around again. That is completely and totally okay, because now we're talking about function. They're called functional statements rather than diagnostic statements. We can talk function all day long. What things does this person not do now or is incapable of doing and now can do? These are all totally appropriate ways to go about that. And I think that's kind of where I stood up and went, okay, can we just make this easier? Because apparently there's a, who was I talking to later that day? You reminded me. Dr. Brimmel and I spent some quality time, and he was saying, so a lot of these doctors' meetings get hijacked by people who get angry by the fact they can't say these things. But the reality is, if we continue down this road, we can lose everything. If we continue down this road where we allow people to say whatever they want because they have a First Amendment right to say whatever they want, the FTC can swoop down and pluck this right out, and we're out of business. And so it's a really big deal, and we have to treat it like it's a really big deal. So Eric spends most of his time taking down those YouTube videos, and I think that's an important thing to do. He said, so oftentimes people stand up and go, it's my First Amendment right. You can't tell me that I can't say this. And Eric brought up, this is my biggest takeaway of the meeting. He said, you lose your First Amendment rights as soon as it's used for commerce. Now, let me say that again. As soon as a statement becomes viable for commercial use, you no longer have a First Amendment right because you're holding yourself out with this statement. And that was huge. And I think that's something that kind of blew by everybody, but you have to take that into consideration because we all want to be able to say, well, my mom had cancer and now she doesn't. We all want to get that out there, and that's an amazing thing. And if you want to say that to your friend, that's fine. But he brought up that whatever you say, whatever claims you make, the person you sponsor is going to take that and run with it. And it never gets less. It always gets more. It's always like, well, I have a friend who has a friend and they were dying and and it gets more and more. So we have to really, as a whole, start to control what we say and how we say it and be sure we play by the rules, because they're their rules and we can all lose because of that. He went into the fact that we have taken down, ready for it, drum roll please, 432 of the 466 eBay sellers that were out there hawking Protandim on eBay. He said that's 90%. And the 10% that are still out there are extremely good at what they do. They will get online and will order a box from one company. It comes under the name of another company. We open the box and there's a third company's name on the invoice. So they're very difficult to track down, but 90% was good. He said
Amazon.
eBay. And Amazon was a little trickier because he said Amazon does not care. They don't care where it comes from, and they're not willing to do anything about it. So apparently we have hired 3 different intellectual property attorneys whose job it is to track these people down one by one and start to take them down a little bit at a time. Because I know I've had patients that say, well, I got it for $10 cheaper. And I say, well, you know what? You can probably find pills under a bridge down on Burnside too, but I wouldn't take those. I mean, you need to really be careful about how you go about this. Make sure you're getting what you're paying for rather than just buying something off of eBay and going, all right. What else did we talk about? Yeah, financial freedom too, apparently was one of the buzzwords. I may have touched on that already, but that was a wonderful way to go about that and say financial freedom. That sounds wonderful, but apparently that's on the hit list for the FTC now too. So we have to be careful about that. Structure and function things are wonderful. He said testimonials are the bane of his existence. He said testimonials just drive me absolutely up the wall. And so I'm spending time on just taking them down constantly. And we all know testimonials are the best thing that we use. We love testimonials. So if you would like to share it with just somebody offline, not in print, it's probably fine. Just be cautious about how you go about doing that. And if it's okay, I want to turn over. Sheila, as I left this morning, said something absolutely amazing to me. Is Kevin still there? Kevin, are you there? Kevin, me? If you're still there, one of the things you said at the post-breakout that really hit Sheila between the eyes is that one of the people you talked to said, well, I see that LifeVantage has had some legal problems, and that makes me a little squeamish. And so as I'm walking out the door this morning, Sheila woke up and said, hey, guess what I thought about this morning? So go ahead. You go. Oh, come on. No. This is Sheila. Come here, sweetie. Come here.
Sheila.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome. It's your time.
So as I was laying there this morning, I thought of a great comeback for that is all big businesses have lawsuits. If you go and you look, you can go onto Google and you can say lawsuits and Amazon, lawsuits and Google, lawsuits and Disney, and there's tons of lawsuits. Every big business has them. And so I don't think people should get hung up on that because it's just a part of life. We're in a litigious cycle, and lawyers are big on getting on TV and saying, have you had this happen? Let's go after them. I mean, it's just everywhere. We can't get away from it. So we're not immune to it any more than any other company is.
So perhaps the best way to say that would be, you know what? I heard the Red Cross has been sued a few times too, and I still contribute to them. Habitat for Humanity, lawsuits. I don't know. So I thought that was awesome. It was a very, very good way to.
Thank you for that, Sheila. And you know, that's the thing too, that's really important that we don't allow someone to take us down that dark hole, and that we just maintain our focus on the problem that we're trying to address in their life. Because if people are looking for something bad, they're going to find it. They will keep looking until they find it. And then it is our job to just let them know, look, there's bad stuff out there. Of course there is. There is on everything. What are other things that you love? You're going to find some bad stuff. I want to come back and focus on the issue at hand here. You told me you're dealing with this. You just let me know, do you seriously want to make a change with that? And if you don't, and you want to maintain the focus on what you found, that's okay. I'm unattached to this. Just don't let them take you down that hole. It's very, very important. I want to address, and I want to say too, Mike, that you are an amazing teacher. Like the way that you addressed all of that so clearly, it was so easy to understand. It was relatable. So even everything. Thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. And thank you.
Yeah, I love, and I hope, like, I just want to say too, the representation of Team Oregon is outstanding right now, Rich and Sarah. I just love this. I think it's so beautiful. And for you, Brian, and I hope this isn't a hoax. I hope it's not a one-time thanks. It's just Outreach Global. I would love to continue to see you guys. I would love to continue to hear from everyone as well. And Rich, you asked about the 190,000 texts that are going out. I am assuming that it will be within the US because it is going to those that have used the True Science system before, and that most of the countries do not have access to the True Science system. So it will probably specifically be within the US. Also, someone asked Dr. Mike, what would you say if someone had like an amazing story with cancer? How would you put that into something that's more functional?
Functional statements with cancer is going to be a lot more difficult. I'd be very cautious about putting it online. That's where these are getting picked up, is online. If you wanted to share with a friend that, wow, my father-in-law was suffering from cancer, and then talk about the symptoms, perhaps, you don't even have to go into that. And we all know what that means. That means, you know what, they had night sweats and their energy was low and they, you know, were losing weight, and you can go through that type of thing. And now we've seen this come around. It gets to be a slippery slope in a big hurry, though. So functional and structure statements are a lot more difficult when we talk about that.
Are we allowed to point them to the study on PubMed that
anything
Louisiana?
on PubMed is wonderful. Anything that you can point that is a study is a really good way to do that.
Hey, quick question. We have nerf2science.com, and there's a tab for cancer. Did they cover anything about that site? Because I know that we own that site, supposedly.
Oh, LifeVantage does. So there are studies, any of the studies that come out of the universities are probably going to be fine because you're not saying it, you're pointing them towards something, and that's good. Just be sure it's good science, right? Because there's allegorical studies out there too. A good friend of mine says any doctor can publish anything about anything, but we want peer-reviewed studies. Oh yeah, that was you that said that, right? So yeah, make sure we have a good peer-reviewed study or a good something that is coming out of a university level. Wouldn't be a bad idea. And as our science grows, here's the beautiful thing. We're going to release NERF 1 within the year, probably the study on that, which is awesome. And we're seeing our literature get better and better, which is and this is where you got to go. This is head and shoulders over any other supplement company on the planet. Thorne Research is probably one of the very best at doing research and their allegorical studies. We took 100 people and we gave this to them, and 80 of them felt great. That's not a study. It's not double-blinded. It doesn't have a crossover. And so we have good studies. And the one study that I'll hear sometimes that people will look up, again, because they're looking, is the bicycle study, where they took the runner study, where they took the runners, these very highly trained runners, put them on Protandim and said, we didn't see any difference, but they had highly trained runners run a 5K. I can run a 5K. So these were people who didn't break a sweat in this thing. And then they said, yep, no difference. And I'm like, well, come on. You know what? This is ridiculous. It's not science either. It's like we took a couple people. It's allegorical. So we have to stick to the science. And even the people who are naysayers in the industry will tell you that there's a lot of respect for LifeVantage because they are willing to put their name, their reputation, their product on the line in these studies. We don't control these studies. These studies are out there. One of the things that we brought up was the fact that Tecfidera, BG12, this is the bomb for MS right now. It's a NERF2 activator that does, what, $5 billion a year? It's $5,000 a month to be on Tecfidera. But at the bottom of that study, it says, oh, and by the way, one of the controls that we had in this study was a nutraceutical called Protandim, which turns out to be a more effective potentiator of the NRF2 pathway. And I'm like, can I use that? And he said, you know what's funny about that? Technically you can, but the people who did that study have contacted us and said, we really wish you wouldn't, because they were paid by Tecfidera to do this study. So we've come to a compromise. You may use it, but they would rather you not highlight it. This is litigious, right? They don't want you highlighting that. And they're very, very grumpy about the fact that it ever got out there. But it's their study. I don't think that there's a problem with that.
Yeah. Mike, you've made yourself very valuable to everyone on this call, and people would love it if you could consider this maybe sometime doing just an educational Zoom for it, like a Monday night. It doesn't have to be long, but just maybe highlighting your favorite things about what you love about the products and why you think they're important for people. You just have such a beautiful way of describing them. And you are a valuable husband, father. I saw that this weekend, but you're also just a God-fearing man. And the way that you put things into words and the way that you highlighted the weekend, I'm so grateful for you. So thank you for sharing with us.
We love you so much. And this is what I heard another really cool person after she stood up and knocked the socks off people in a room did this.
And there he goes. You have every right to drop the mic right now, Mike. Love it. Okay. Well, I hope this was valuable to everybody. Yeah, Mike.
Dr. Pow Pow.
Okay, I'm going to stop that. I hope everyone, please, when I post this tonight, make sure you tag your teams on this recording. I'm going to stop the recording real quick.